Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're going to round out the end of this YouTube Recommends week with a track that a lot of people have told me I needed to check out after I wasn't entirely enthusiastic about the first time we checked them out. This band is Animals as Leaders, and this song is CAFO, or CAFO. Or Cafu. Nope, only one O. Alright, so probably it's something like CAFO. Because it looks like the word capo, which is guitar things, and he looks like a guitarist. So, that sound logic to me. So the last one we did was Arithmophobia, and pretty much, well, I was going to say pretty much everyone, but a very resounding response after checking that song out was I should have started with CAFO. Well, YouTube got y'all's back because we're doing CAFO thanks to YouTube. YouTube's algorithm said y'all are right. Let's do it. So let's see what they're doing this time. Interesting use of a pedal tone. Highly syncopated, very melodic, and some crazy polyrhythms going on in that drum bit. And I just noticed there's like some electronic synth stuff going on in the backgrounds. Some really cool arpeggiation going on in there. It's not straight arpeggios, but it's definitely based on arpeggio runs. That drum bit. Yep, cymbals used as a metronome. That seems to be fairly common. Nice rim hits on the snare there. You don't see that too often in metal. Yeah, we finally got some groove in here. Back to this section. No, there's a little bit of variation. The drumming is similar, and I think the second guitar is similar, but the lead's different. And this is the intro. That drum fill into the section was dirty though. A fade out? No. No, there's more to this song, right? Nope. Nope, looks to be a fade out. Oh, no, maybe not. Yep. Well, that was a disappointing ending. Seriously, a fade out? You guys wrote some complex riffs and you couldn't figure out a riff to finish the song on? Oh man. Okay, so um I got a lot to say, and I don't think a lot of people are gonna like it. I enjoy the technicality of this. Very much in the same vein as Arithmophobia and the band Polyphia. I think the people in this band are highly gifted, extremely technical musicians. They're virtuosos. They're just fantastic performers. And whoever writes this, I don't know if it's a band's um, task or if it's one person who has this in their head. Uh, well, I'd say at least two people write this. Somebody writes minimum. Somebody writes the melody. The drummer writes the drums. I've mentioned before on this channel, it's really easy to tell when a melodic oriented person writes a rhythm part, and you can tell that difference when a rhythmically oriented person writes a rhythm part. And that's just like really complicated words to say. I know when a guitarist writes a drum part, and I know when a drummer writes a drum part. They're very different. People who are rhythmic oriented, who gravitate more towards percussive instruments, have a very different way of understanding music, and they write very different music because of that. This was a drum part. This is written by a drummer. This is somebody who's very rhythmically oriented in their music. If the drummer didn't write this, another drummer did. Either that, or if there was one person who wrote this entire song, they are a gifted composer as well, because most people cannot do. They're either very good at writing melodies or very good at writing rhythms, um, but not usually doing both. Um, so yeah, that's my take there. This is probably written by at least two people. But anyways, though, the composition work is just as good as the musician, the performance. Um, just because of the sheer complexity of the music rhythmically and knowing what's possible to do with their instrument. Um, just that the part where I said that they were using pedal notes, interestingly, it was the first tapping section, I think, because it opened up with the sweep section. The guitarist was sweeping up and down real quickly. I mean, cleanly, too. That is some of the cleanest sweeps I've seen. Um, and I used to put AJ Minette as the best sweep picker, and I think this guy he's up there. He's either tied, maybe he's better. I don't know, but those sweeps were clean. Um, I'd have to go back and really hone in, maybe like half speed it or something, and really hone in on the sweep. Because I think some of the mixing and the fact that it's an older video might have messed with that a little bit. But I mean, they didn't sound muddy. Okay, and that's usually the first signifier of a good musician is when your sweeps don't sound muddy. It's not that they're like super clean, but they're not muddy, which is usually what most people get out of sweep picking. Um, so yeah, that's cool. That's cool stuff. His sweeps are very clean, but yeah, that first part with the pedal note and the tapping, that is not something I would expect many people to write for a guitar part. He basically played his guitar like a piano, and that's not something that a lot of people instantly think of when they think of a guitar. Um, we have a lot of tapping guitar players these days. You just type that into YouTube, and you'll find tons of people who excel at that, especially in the acoustic range, where they also hit the bass of the guitar, the body, to get some percussive sounds out of it, and they can basically play entire songs by themselves. Um, but it's still, to me, even though it's rising in popularity, it's not the standard. The standard is still um, picking. So the fact that they not only can play this but decided to, in their brain, put this together as a song, that this is what we want to play. Like I said, they're exceptional musicians and composers because of that. A lot of this stuff is hyper complex, and it's one thing to be able to play it, but it's another thing to also come up with it. So I got to give them props on both ends of that. But just like Polyphia, the song is really missing a strong sense of melody. It's riff based, and I'm probably gonna get flack in here, just like I did for Polyphia's songs, and I think I got it on Arithmophobia as well. A song without a core melody, to me, is lacking a structure, a pillar of music writing. You basically have the foundation of a song without the core aspect of a lead melodic line. Um, what this correlates to me is background music. You usually leave out melodies when you don't want the song to take the forefront, to be the most present part of a multimedia presentation. Look at your movie soundtracks. It's the reason why it's so difficult to hum a line in a music soundtrack, because so few songs actually have a lead part to them. They're designed to blend into the background and serve as kind of a foundation for the visuals. Um, I mean, even video game soundtracks have kind of moved towards that. Although plenty of people have done videos about this as well. Some of that is also due to just the expansion of technology. But all right, that's a little off topic here. Um, but yeah, there's no lead here. The best part of this song, to me, the one that was most structurally powerful, was the guitar solo. There was still the hyper complex, virtuosic, that's a word, right? Virtuoso playing underneath another very rhythmic, virtuosic playing of a solo, though. It had a line, it had a beginning and an end. It was a complete sentence. It flowed from beginning to end. There was no repetition. It still showcased their ability to play highly technical pieces. It still showed off his ability to write highly technical pieces, but it wasn't repetitious. You know, I can sit here and say the same sentence over and over and over and over and over, but that's not a good speech. That's not a good sentence. That's not a good conversation. Well, it's not a good conversation. You're not going to want to sit here and listen to that. It's not engaging. There's no story being told if I just sit here saying the same thing over and over. And that is what these highly repetitious songs come out to. Um, highly repetitious while lacking a what some people would call a hook, a core melodic line. You need a lead aspect. And some people could argue that the riffs are the leads. And yes, there's definitely an argument for that, especially in this song. Um, but the fact that they're repetitious without any thematic element to tell me why the repetition is important means that they lack context, and which means they lack meaning. It ends up just being a bunch of technical riffs being played repetitiously back to back, and the story of the song loses its impact. Um, and again, I'm probably going to take flack for this. I know I am. I'm waiting for it. I'm not. I'm. It's just how I view music, though. You don't need somebody singing over this. I don't think that singing would be bad, but singing isn't the only way to get a melodic lead. We could have a guitar part. The solo, like I said, the solo is perfect. If we could have more parts like the solo, it doesn't need to be all the time. Just like a singer doesn't need to sing all the time when you look at a more traditionally composed modern song. But you do need something a little more to carry the song rather than replaying riffs over and over. And I think the most egregious part of this would be the beginning. Um, it might have been the tapping section. The tapping section did go on for quite a while. That riff went way long. And I will say this, though, is that when the guitar, because to me the guitar is the lead voice, the second guitarist, he is a little lower in the mix, and I really had to listen into him. I don't know if that was also because he got less screen time, and the visual connection. When you see something, you tend to hear it more in focus. I don't know if that had something to do with it. But the lead guitarist to me was the focus of the song, and even though he stayed on the same riffs for a long time, the song did evolve under him. The other guitarist bit changed. It changed throughout the song a little bit here and there. The drum part changed. I think the drum part was actually the most dynamic instrument. If you listen to the drums, there's actually a lot of. It's still repetition based. There's still some riffs or some drum fills or just holding a specific um, melodic line. I guess you could call it I don't know what you would call a drum riff. I don't know. He's still holding these repetitious, playing the same set of bars for a couple of times, but he seems to hold the riffs for a shorter amount of time than anybody else. He's the most dynamic. He's the one who changes up what he's playing the most, and I think some of that is just, some of it I think is just being a drummer. You can more easily change things up on the fly than a guitar, where you actually have like you also have the melodic element on top of the rhythmic. It's more to think about, so it's easier to just stay on the riff. I don't know. I mean, I thinking back on that one, that doesn't really make much sense, because then you have like soloists who can think up really complex music on the fly. So yeah, we're gonna scratch that one. I do think drumming is easier to riff on because you can just throw in a note here and there. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That train derailed, but the core idea is that the drums are a little bit more dynamic than the two guitars. Even though the song is evolving throughout the song, it does feel like it stagnates way too often for me, and a lot of that is due to the riffing and the fact that there is no core melody to pull the listener through the song. Um, and that is by design. I'm not trying to bash them or anybody who does this, like Polyphia. Um, this is just what I'm talking about from my biases, my opinions, what I enjoy in music. Um, I can understand people who want to chill to this and just fall into a trance because of the repetition, because of the fact that there is no lead line. Oh, Meshuggah is another one that does this, where they write highly technical music and don't necessarily have a lead to kind of pull them through. They have their growler, but he kind of blends into the band and fits into that repetition as like another rhythmic instrument. So yeah, I understand why people gravitate to this. I understand why they enjoy it, and I am by no means saying that the song needs to have a melodic line to pull it through. Because if it did, then it wouldn't be what it is, and then the people who like it might not like what it would be instead. And there needs to be music for people to go into that trance zone and just have songs that slowly build and evolve over time. And people enjoy that. I'm not saying we need to get rid of that genre. It's not for me though. That's all I'm saying. I would prefer if there was a strong melodic line to pull the song through. It's the only thing I could think was really missing from this, other than being a little bit too complex. Just kind of, I don't know. I enjoy the complexity. I appreciate what went into it. Like I said, these guys are virtuosos at composition and performance. I'm not trying to take these guys down a peg at all. They're doing what they're doing, and they're doing it fantastically. It's just not 100% for me. I appreciate it on the artistic level, on the performance level, um, but it just falls a little short of what I prefer in my music. So yeah, this is where you guys can go into the comments and flame me for all of my wrong opinions. While you're down there in the comments, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. That's very appreciative. That stuff helps me out immensely. If you'd like, you can check out my Twitter and Patreon. You can also tell me there that I'm doing things wrong on this channel. Okay, this joke's getting old. Yeah, you can check out my Twitter and Patreon, though. I got some cool stuff going on both of those. Those links are in the description. And I will be back tomorrow with a Patreon picks. Um, that is where I ask one of my Patreons what they would like me to react to, and I just do it. No questions asked. It could be a 30-second song, a 30-minute song. It could be not metal. It could be the most brutal track you've ever listened to. You tell me what it is, I do it. All right, no exceptions for the most part. We haven't hit an exception yet. Let me put it that way. And then Sunday we have an unusual Sunday episode where a band has asked me to check out one of their new songs from an album that's coming out. They're trying to build up some hype for their release, I guess. And I've never heard of this band before. They're not in my spreadsheet, so I figure why not share some music and see if we can find some new stuff that people like. I mean, that's what we do on this channel. You guys introduce me to new music, I introduce you guys to new music. I mean, it's just this cool circle of musicness. So, yeah, I figure why not help out a new band. So yeah, that and then Monday's next week's theme. So straight through, no breaks this week. We're just going straight through. All right. So until tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UTC. That's when I'll be back. You guys have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, and you stay safe out there.